What's up? It's Platinum. Appreciate you coming by the channel again. As the title says, let's build a PC. What's up, folks? Thanks for tuning in. So like I said in the title, I'm building a 4K PC. So a little bit of a backstory. As you all may know or may not know, I just kind of started this YouTube channel, or started being more consistent with the YouTube channel. I've had a YouTube channel for a very long time, but I just post up here and there. But now I'm trying to take it seriously and actually make content that people want to see and have fun while doing it. So with that being said, I'm getting more into the video editing aspect. I currently use Adobe Premiere Pro CC edition, and I love that software. It's easy to use, it's seamless. You can install it on multiple PCs and things of that sort. But I'm running into issues where my current editing PC, I'm sorry, it's not even PC, my current editing laptop, which is a Mac, just can't keep up. So currently what I'm using is a MacBook Pro. It's a 2014 edition. It has 16 gig of RAM. It's got a 250 megabyte SSD drive, and I believe it's an i5 2.6 gigahertz processor. So it can do it. It can do like basic 4K stuff. It can do 1080 stuff just fine. I mostly use it for music. I'm also a DJ, so that's what my main purpose, but I kind of use it as a dual purpose while I was trying to get everything going. But anyway, with that being said, like I said, now that I'm trying to take this a little bit more seriously and I'm doing more intense editing and learning more about Adobe Premiere Pro, and I hope to get into After Effects at one point soon. This one can't do it. So with that being said, there we go. We're gonna be building a 4K editing PC. Now I've seen a bunch of videos on budget builds, $650, $500. I've also seen a bunch of videos on high-end builds, starting from $1,500 up to $4,000. So with this project, I didn't really want to do anything too cheap. I wanted to do more of a budget build, but that still has some quality parts with the emphasis on the things that I need. You see a lot of things about gaming PCs, but editing PCs are a little bit different in that sense. So anywho, we're gonna go through all the parts that I got, and I'll kind of talk about why I chose what I chose, and if you guys have questions, feel free to ask. But again, thanks for tuning in, and let's go. So first, we're gonna start off with the case that I went with. I decided to go with the Thermaltake V200 RGB case. No real rhyme or reason. I like the fact that it came with the 3 RGB lights in the front. Originally I was gonna go with the M ATX or a mini ATX or a micro ATX, depending on what you want to call it, which is a little bit of a smaller case. But a friend of mine, made a good point that I may want to one day up my storage capacity or put some water cooling in there. So probably better just to go ahead and get a mid tower case. So that's the one I went with. It wasn't too much, wasn't too expensive either. So yep, that's the case I went with. All right, for the power supply, I just went with a PowerSpec 650 watt. I figured that'd be enough for the graphics card and the processor. My last PC I had a 500 watt, so I went up a little bit on that. It's an 80 plus bronze, and it's a semi-modular. For those that don't know, that means that the plugs no longer are fixed to the actual power supply. You just kind of plug in whatever plugs you need. Now this is semi, which means that the main plug, which is, you can barely see it, but the little one on the end that goes to the motherboard, that one is still fixed, but all the other ones are, you can plug and unplug as you need to make your wiring a little bit cleaner. So that's the power supply I went with. Okay, for the motherboard, so I settled on the B450 by AORUS. It's made by Gigabyte. There's a million different motherboards you can go with, but after doing some research and trying not to break the bank, this seemed like a good kind of mid-tier good one to go with. It does have built-in RGB as well to kind of go along with the case. And it does have built-in Wi-Fi, which is one of the features that I wanted to have, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth built into the desktop. So that's why I went with this one. And yeah, that's that. Next we got the graphics card, also by Gigabyte. This is the Radeon RX 580. Based on my research that I did, I'm no expert by any means, but based on the research that I did, when it comes to a 4K editing PC, the graphics card is not as important. It's still important. You do want to have something that can handle some different renderings and things of that sort, but you don't need to have a crazy expensive or crazy high-end one for that. So I'm not gonna be doing any hardcore gaming, but I do have a flight simulator that I like to use, that I would like to, have it look good. But the one thing that I kind of was between, they have the Radeon RX 580, then there's also the NVIDIA series GeForce, and between the two, for about the same price range, the Radeon came with 8 gigs of VRAM or RAM, or however you want to say it. The other brand had 6 gigabytes. Again, I don't know how much of a difference it's gonna make, but if I could get more RAM essentially for the graphics card, why not? So that's why I went with this one. And it kind of is Gigabyte, so it kind of goes with the motherboard. It doesn't have to match, but it does, so why not? So that's the graphics card I went with. Okay, speaking of RAM, so the RAM that I went with is the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro. For 4K editing, you do need RAM. I think Premiere Pro asks for at least 16 gig. So that's what I'm starting with. I have 16 gig of DDR4 3200 megahertz. There is also 3600, but I'm gonna kind of start here and see how it handles. If I do need to upgrade later on, I can. This is the RGB version, which is cool because it it goes with the motherboard and it goes with the case, and it can get some cool looking RGB synced up in there. So yeah, that's the RAM I went with. Okay, for the processor, so a little bit of a backstory. I've built a few different PCs in my lifetime, and I've worked on PCs. And I also have a Mac, as I said in my other video. But I've always used the Intel processor. So this time I kind of want to try something different. I've been hearing a lot of good things about the AMD side, or AMD brand, and this Ryzen processor. So there are a couple different ones. They have a Ryzen 5, they have a 7, which is here. They have 9, I believe, and then they also have a whole bunch of different speeds. So I kind of settled on the Ryzen 7. This one is the 2700X. The reason being is I could have went with the Ryzen 5, which is a 3700X, but it only has 6 cores and 12 threads for processing. Don't quote me on that. I'll correct it in the comments if it's wrong. But the 7 has 8 cores and 16 threads. Now I could have got a 3700X, which is the speed, but that's quite a bit more money than what I paid for this one. So I think this is a good starting point. Again, I'm not doing any major gaming, not too much. I know that video editing is processor heavy, but that's why I kind of wanted to go with more cores and more threads, but maybe at a little bit of a slower speed. But I still have that extra, those extra cores and threads to be able to process and render and do all that stuff a little bit faster. So that's just based off the research that I did on this. Again, I'm not no expert. I kind of did my own research and watched videos on what people did, and that's what I came with. This is also cool because it came with this. It comes with the Prism cooler, which is also RGB. So hey, I'm kind of tying in all the RGB stuff together. So it may be a pretty cool looking case or build when I get done with it. So yep, that's the processor of the Ryzen 7 2700X. Okay, for storage, so this is just the main, I call it the software storage, or the main storage where Windows will be installed. I went with the 970 Evo Plus 500 gig SSD. This is a M.2. So this motherboard has a spot for 2 of these M.2 drives. So in the near future, I'm gonna probably get another one, maybe a terabyte to put in there. And then also I'm going to add some more storage to the case, so a couple of other SSDs. If I can, I want to keep it all SSD That way there's no mechanical movements in there and it's a little bit quieter. But for now, I'm going to use this as the main drive where all my software and stuff is installed. And I have an external 2 terabyte Western Digital that I'll kind of use for my video storage until I can get those other SSDs and get them installed in the case. So this is just the like I said, 970 Evo Plus by Samsung, and it's the M.2 size. And last but not least, Windows 10. You have to have Windows 10. One of these days I'm gonna try Linux, but not today. So one with Windows 10, and that's gonna be the operating system. So there you have it. There's all my components. So we're gonna go ahead and get this built, and then I'll be back to kind of talk about the build. I'm not gonna do a video on how to build a PC because there's a million videos on doing that and I'm no expert. So anyway, so I'm gonna get this put together and then I'll be back to kind of talk about that process, and then I'll let you guys know how it came out and show you some video of that. I do plan on editing this video on the new machine, so I'll be able to give you a good comparison on how it is compared to my MacBook Pro. So yeah, so I appreciate you guys for tuning in again. Subscribe, like, share, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks a lot. Peace.